If you train with a Garmin Heart Rate Monitor, I have two types of workouts I want to share with you. It'll increase both the productivity and the fun factor of your workouts. Let's take a look at both of them. I hope you're training with a Garmin Heart Rate Monitor. It is both user-friendly and very informative when it comes to analyzing your performance results. What I like to do is have my athletes change up their workouts on a daily basis. Literally, my programs never duplicate themselves week over week, year over year. I always change up the variety, the duration, the intensity, the work-rest intervals. There's a multitude of ways that we change it. And the reason why we change it is we want to avoid muscle stagnation. Now, it's beyond the scope of this video. I just want to talk about how we have fun challenging ourselves at the same time elevating our performance. The first workout that we want to talk about is what we refer to as a heart rate ladder. If you're new to the channel, thank you and welcome. If you look in our description box below, we have a link to our resource page where you can download our heart rate spreadsheet, where all you've got to do is plug in your max heart rate number and your 4-week resting heart rate average number, and that's going to auto-populate all 5 energy systems. Now, what I would recommend you do is, I'm just going to pull some random ranges here. Take your high-end zone 3, take your low-end zone 2. So what we would do with a heart rate ladder is literally you do your warm up, and let's say, just for conversation's sake, it's a bicycle or a run or a row, and it's going to be 40 minutes in duration. We're going to do an hour, 10-minute warm up, 10-minute cool down. We're going to do 40 minutes in the middle. Now, what we want to do is we want you to gradually, not sprint, we want you to gradually increase the effort until your heart rate number hits the top number of your individualized zone 3 for that discipline. As soon as you look down or the ringer goes off, the buzzer goes off on your watch, slow down without stopping until your heart rate number gets to the bottom end of zone 2. When you get to the bottom, don't sprint. Gradually accelerate until you get back to that top number. And you're just going to do that for 40 minutes. Here's where some unique challenges come in, and until you do it, you're never going to really experience it. By forcing yourself to never stop, it adds a level of difficulty. It adds another level of durability. It adds another level of mental toughness. It adds another level of mental focus. And here's where the focus comes in. If you throw a blind's eye to it and you go too high, you're going to be forced to walk. Now, you may make the mistake and actually do that. It's no big deal. It's part of the challenge, and it keeps keeps your mental focus, and it keeps the fun factor and the challenge factor extremely high. Now, there's another benefit to this that a lot of people don't understand. When you allow yourself to come all the way down to the bottom end of zone 2, you're going to get more out of trying to get to the top of zone 4. Particularly for those of you that have a really good strength base and a very big aerobic engine. You're going to notice that it takes quite a while for your heart rate to get to the top of that zone, and you're going to notice that you recover relatively quickly. Just as a generic example, it might take you 4 to 5 minutes to get your heart rate from low zone 2 to high zone 4, and it might only take you 35 to 45 seconds for it to plummet down to the bottom of zone 2. That's because your aerobic function is so good, you recover quickly, but because your aerobic engine is so good, it takes more and more effort to get it to go up. We call it the win-win situation, but I want to make sure your mental headspace is in the right area, because sometimes people see that as a punishment, like, I'm in such good shape, it takes me forever to get my heart rate up, and then it plummets quickly, so I get it's a long work to a short rest interval. That's where we get into the psychological challenges. The second workout I want to talk about is what we call a negative split. Now, still utilizing the Garmin Heart Rate Monitor, this is going to improve the overall outcome of the workout. So for example, I'll go back to a 40-minute workout. A 40-minute main set. We have a 10-minute warm-up and a 10-minute cool-down. We're focusing on that 40-minute main set. What we want to do, and this is where there's a lot of elements to keep you on your toes. Hopefully you don't find it too structured. If you take 40 minutes, divide it by 2, it'd be 20 and 20. What we like to do is go out and nice and easy for 21, and then try to come back in 19. Cubes out your 40 minutes. You could go out in a little bit slower, try to come back a little bit faster. You might find just doing a 20 going out maybe 15-20 seconds, like say you run 20 minutes and 15 seconds out, you only have to come back, at 19:45. It's the idea of you're still cubing the same amount of time, and here's where the challenge comes in as you get more comfortable and familiar with it. The more you focus on biomechanics, the faster you can go on your easy, and then when you do increase the intensity, now again, there's a lot of elements here, so please let me unpack them for you. Be patient and focus on biomechanics to get out there, let's say to 22 minutes. Then you've got to come back much, much quicker and more efficient. So you're teaching your body as it normally breaks down and the biomechanics fall apart. You have to focus on your biomechanics and your efficiency, otherwise you won't make it back in time. So these are just some fun things that we can do. There's a lot of elements that are associated with it. You have a big aerobic engine, you have a big strength base, you have good proper biomechanics. I mean, there's a lot that we can unpack here. Hopefully, if you're watching this video, you've watched me for an extended period of time, so these subjects aren't over your head. If you're hearing things that tend to be a little bit intimidating, I encourage you, please go back and watch some of our YouTube videos. For those of you that have been with us for a while, I don't want you to keep hearing the same redundant things. I want your knowledge base to continue to escalate. As I just mentioned, we've been putting videos out here on YouTube for quite a while now, and we do every single day answering your questions. So should you have a question, please send it in. contact@coachrob.com. We'll convert your question into a video because your questions will benefit other watchers and listeners as well. If you haven't liked and subscribed and turned on notifications, I ask you to please do so. It helps our algorithm, but more importantly, I love putting these videos together, answering your questions, and I want you to know when they're available. Thank you for your time today, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.